Good evening. My name is J.R. Jones, and welcome to our first ever Small Business Capital Fund FinTech Forum, where we're going to talk about economic issues as we go forward. And over the next several podcasts, we hope to cover the accelerated financial inclusion in the Black communities and marginalized communities as we look at the unbanked and underbanked. And as we talk about the accelerating financial inclusion, we first got to begin to understand what it means to be excluded. So we're going to hopefully have a host of forums dealing with economic inclusion, financial literacy, and going into closing the wealth gap and how do we do that. Starting off today, I have a good friend and a co-host on this program who needs very little introduction whatsoever, Mr. Socrates Garrett. Garrett Enterprises and many organizations who have been around this community, especially in Jackson, Mississippi, and around the country and state, and doing some tremendous thing in the economic arena. Always a huge advocate for economic inclusion, financial development, and closing that wealth gap. He's been doing it for years and years. I've known him for over 30 years, and the brother's always on key. So it's great to have him here. Mr. Garrett, it's just great to have you as always, as my mentor, as we move forward with this thing. We're going to talk about how we got here, how to get out of it, and where we're going to go with it.
Well, you have reversed the roles on me, JR. I am now your mentee because now we're talking about an area that Black folk are missing the mark.
Yes, sir.
In terms of economic wealth and banking and how the finance system works. We really don't quite understand how this system works out here.
Right.
And so I look forward to sharing with you and learning about money and banking and how this thing should work in our community.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, a lack of financial inclusion for, and just Black and brown Americans, all those who have been marginalized exist at every level of the financial system. I mean, at every level of the financial system. So to get to the crust of the bottom of this, understanding, we need to begin to understand the sources of exclusion that's created these systems and the first means. And so the first step is how do you fix the system? Well, first you got to understand the system. And that's what we hope to bring here as we talk about over the next series of information. One of the things that I've often said is that, there's a lot of financial literacy programs out there. It really is. And it's a reach, and a lot of nonprofits, because Small Business Capital Fund has been an advocate of financial literacy. I was reading some statistics about a month ago. It said the government spends $641 million. Well, the government includes it with education and colleges and everything. So it's about $641 million a year on financial literacy. Now, that sounds like a lot, but when you start taking in terms of the kind of dollars that go through the financial system, especially the minority and the unbanked and underbanked community, when you're talking about several billions of dollars a year of fees, then it's not a whole lot. But what we want to do here is that we want to not only bring that to a forefront and take a look at that, but what financial literacy sometimes falls short of is like they give you the education and tool, and then they don't give you any job to go to.
Okay.
So, we need to not only bring the financial literacy and educate them, but we need to give them the tool.
All right. So let's for a guy like me, let's start with very basic. To me, finance consists of a checking account and a savings account.
Right.
Now we understand how the checking account works. Now, I'm not sure exactly if I understand all of the fees associated with it and how financial institutions make their money. I'm not sure I understand minimum balance fees. I'm not sure I understand overdrawn fees. I'm not sure I understand all other things that are attached to a checking account.
Right. Right.
And I'm not sure if the checking account pays any interest or not. So I really need to understand the basics of how banking and money works. So I'd love for you to explain that to me. And then savings account, I don't know if those things are as popular as it was 20 years ago.
Well, they right off the bat, I would say they should be. But with all the things you just said about you understand more than most.
Okay.
About a checking account. And, when we start talking about the marginalized community, unbanked and underbanked, Socrates, that statistic says there's 30 to 60 million people in America that's unbanked and underbanked. So now what's the difference between the unbanked and the underbanked? Well, the unbanked is pretty much those individuals, like you just said, don't have any of that. Don't have in the household, don't have a basic checking account, don't have a basic savings account, or don't even operate in financial institutions. And there's several reasons. One, they still don't trust the banks. Mm-hmm. Two, they've grown up in a household where they've seen mom and dad go down to the nearby liquor store, grocery store, or corner store and cash their checks because they've got into financial trouble and they can't get into the banking system anymore. So they go buy the money orders. They see them use the money orders, what we call alternative financial services, to go and pay for their goods and services. So they're not even in the banking system at all.
They're not in the banking system at all.
At all.
So if you're not in the banking system, which is traditional and tantamount to middle class America, mm-hmm. then what system are you in? What does it have a name?
You're in an alternative financial service system. In other words, you get your check cash at the local store. You go to the payday lendings to get your loan when you fall short of cash. And I know a lot of those running around here.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And so
let me understand. You go to the grocery store or the convenience store to get your check cash.
Yes.
Now, do you pay a fee to them?
There you go. Now you pay a hefty fee. Now, here's the startling thing in statistics. They say that individuals, the unbanked, who the least can afford it, spends about 30% of their earnings on alternative financial services.
Wow.
Now think about that.
Wow.
The average guy.
Wow.
That's hefty. That's a lot of money that's going out of their pocket and that could be used to get back to what you call that savings.
So that didn't go toward mortgages, food, grocery,
right.
car. No, it went back to financial alternative systems.
Right. So we all know that we've heard about payday lending and the exorbitant amount of interest rates that they charge to just give that short-term loan until next payday. So you go there and you do that. You get a check, you go get it cash, and you pay for that. You pay your bills, you go buy money orders, you're paying for that to send that off, along with the expensive stamps nowadays and mail it in. So, those fees are just piling up. Okay. Just not check cashing the fees, you're talking about insurance products become more expensive. Because when you in that financial arena, it is at a higher rate because they see it at a higher risk. You miss paying insurance payment and you have to get your car insurance because in the state of Mississippi you're supposed to have car insurance. You miss a payment and get behind. What happened? You go to the insurance company. They say, "Oh yeah, we can renew that, but there's a big fee. So you got to pay this fee because you was behind. So you got to pay this fee. So now you're paying almost 10-20% more for your insurance just to be able to have regular insurance on your vehicles. So these fees piles up, and then what it does, it continues to cause havoc on that financial life. So when somebody getting out of poverty, it's more than just getting out of poverty through financial literacy. It's a system. We talked about earlier, that system of exclusion is working.
So I've heard terms like predator. Now, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's predatory lending is just like you call it, a predator. It's like Lords of the Jungle. That you got the prey and the predator, and when that lion get hungry, he jumps out. He got to go after that gazelle. You know who the predator is at that point in time. They're gonna hunt him down and track him down, and they're gonna track him down any way he can to get that eat.
Wow.
Predatory lending is when inside of communities, and individuals and companies lend at an extraordinarily high rate, well above what's called the usury statute rate, because they're allowed to, well above the standard interest rate that, like you said, middle class or the standard individuals paying. I mean, they're paying well above that rate just to be able to get lending products.
Wow.
And it happens, out of, once or twice within 90 days, the average person will be hit with some type of financial crisis. Car breaks down. And now your air conditioning breaks down. And the day to get these things repaired, you might as well be buying a new one. To buy a new one, you definitely have to finance it. Refrigerator goes out. Kids got a major crisis. Kids today just got a major cost just to be in sports and education because the school system can't afford it, so the parents have to pay it, and they want the kids. So those things continue to put individuals in borrowing stage. Credit card fees, on the average, at a decent credit card score, is still at 28%. 28%. Now you're talking about losing, 20% on your money in the hood because you got to pay fees. Credit cards the same thing.
Wow.
28% cost.
So you can get caught up in a vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle, absolutely.
And if you don't have help, you call it financial literacy. But if someone doesn't help you with that, right, then you can be overwhelmed. Absolutely. With all of the fees and issues and the premiums that you pay just because you didn't quite understand money and banking. Now, in our community, I see all of these cash advance. Yes. I see pawn shops. Yes. And I'm not sure whether a pawn shop is a financial institution or not. I'm not sure how that works. So help me. Yeah, that's a good one. But it is. It's pawn shop is one of those what we call AFS, alternative financial services, because what they do is they allow just not only individuals, but they allow business people to come in and buy products either on credit or be able to, like as we say, put up an article, get some money, and come back and buy it back at a higher rate. That's an interest rate, that's an interest fee, that's a cost, that's an expectation of return for them. They don't call it that, but that's what it is. So that's how they get around this nice usury statute of being able to charge a whole lot more. Wow. So, it's those things. Several years ago, when the state of Mississippi was looking at that, saying how can we curtail the legislators and big legislators, how can we curtail a lot of the predatory lending, and I think they maybe brought the rates down from 500 to 200%, something like that. It worked on it, and they said, well, we need to get rid of, how do we get rid of this? And my statement to one of the legislators was that, well, what's the alternative? If there's demand, somebody gonna do the supply. If there's a demand and a cost attached to it, you're gonna find suppliers. Wow. It's like anything else in this economy. Drugs, anything else. So if you are unbankable, yes, then there's a high demand for your money. They're looking for your money. They're looking to supply your money because they get premium rates. Yes, for your services. Yes, and they've created a service to give you what you're looking for. Now, check cash in places. They charge fees? Yes, sir. High fees. On average, what would you think that fee would be? I've heard some charge as high as 5 to 10%, Socrates, on monies. Typically, they're around 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%. If the people have been nice, it depends on it. And they look at the size of the check, too. So some of them got a scale, man. Some of them have a scale. So if you got a $3,000 check and you have to go to the check cash in place with it because you're unbankable, they could charge you $300. Absolutely. Just to cash it. Yes, sir. And you see that a whole lot during tax time. Okay. Because that's where education comes in. Because despite the fact that a lot of people who get large sum checks because of child care and all the things, they don't even see it as money coming out of their pocket. So they'll go to the local store and get a $3,000 check and be very happy and quickly pay him 10%. Wow. And walk out and be smiling that he did them a favor. Okay. Wow, it's a lot to learn, a lot to unpack out here. Yes, sir. Yes. So as I said earlier, so what we got to do is, and what we want to do is, the thing we're doing with the accountable card and Small Business Capital Fund, we're bringing a fintech product on board so that we can help eliminate some of that cost to the public. So we're gonna get ready to go to break, and we're gonna come back, and we want to dive into the wealth building gap, and talk more about how we can alleviate and help reduce some of this cost of capital to individuals and help them understand the cost of capital. And it's their money anyway. You might well try to keep some of it. We're going to a break. Be back shortly.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Great, thank you. And we're back again for the Small Business Capital Fund SBCF Economic FinTech Forum. Well, again, I have my great friend, Mr. Socrates Garrett here, and we just, again, finished up and talking about financial inclusion. All the things that have prevented a lot of small and minority, brown, marginalized communities reducing their wealth because of giving up so much of their funds. And now, how can we help them curtail from understanding the wealth gap and understanding the amount of fees they pay in everyday life? It's kind of like taking a snapshot picture and going into your own financial life and just kind of do some financial planning and say, how can I get out of this trap that I know I'm in? It may not take a day or two, it may even take a year, but at some point we have to begin to persist in closing that gap. So, Mr. Garrett, as we was going to break, we was talking about the checking account and check cashing places and how much they charge to just do an everyday check, and what can we do about that, and how can we help, and how can they help themselves? And I was sharing with you that, the reason we created the accountable card is because that, people have to be accountable for their own financial future. It's like anything else. It's there's the old saying, you can bring a horse to the well, but you can't make him drink. It's the same thing. We give financial literacy. You can do financial literacy, but then you give them a nice certificate because they've educated from financial literacy class, and they looking at you like, oh, I understand this stuff. Okay, now how do I deploy it? What do I have to deploy it? The bank still won't let me open a checking account because you haven't done anything with the credit. You haven't done anything with that bad mark that I was in the hospital, couldn't pay the bills, and the bank kicked me out of the system because they got me in this check cashing system. So what do I do now? How do I get beyond that? For the non-banking system, unbanked and underbanked, that's the reason we created accountable cards. So we believe that we got to create fintech systems. We got to begin to use technology in our community, which we're not doing. Just like we were talking earlier, all those things that's going on, people are kind of walking down to the store and doing those, which is costly because when you talk about a high price of gas, now you can take your phone and bank and do everything on your phone, unbanked, underbanked, checking accounts, no credit checking account, just to get you started. Everything on your phone. So we want to talk about the technology that have been created to help reduce that cost to individuals. But they got to understand it, like you said earlier. Mm-hmm. They need to know about it, and then they need to know where they can go and find these tools. So I know you probably got all your banking on your phone.
Well, I do. I have Cash App.
Yeah.
I have debit cards.
Yeah.
I have my checking accounts there, and so I do have a lot of my financial information on my phone. And so I don't know if I should feel good about that or bad.
Well, you know what? You should feel good about it.
Okay.
Because you're using fintech, you're using technology.
Okay.
Reason one is that, man, look, we've come to understand that the most secure device you can have today is actually your cell phone.
I don't know if African American seniors, share that opinion.
They probably don't. Look, I get tough with it, but you get the kids and grandkids, that's all they got in their hands.
That's right.
That's
right. So you're saying that your banking on your phone is secure,
Yes.
and that our folk in the community out there should move into the technology and take advantage of the new way of doing things.
Absolutely. And, and let me make sure, because we don't want to mislead nobody.
Yeah.
We want to say that it's more secure.
Okay.
And nothing is totally secure when the hackers get to hacking, but it's definitely more secure than you getting your check in the mail and somebody taking it, how hard it is. Or even banking, what they call banking online. See, mobile banking and banking online are two separate things. So banking online is when you get at your laptop, get at your computer, and you get all kinds of stuff coming in there where people's can send you a code and folks mistakenly hit that piece. A lot of time our phone is that, you're using biometrics, you're using your own, that's two-part authentication. They send you a text and you have to go back into it. So it's a little more secure than just regular online banking. But not only that, it's a whole lot more convenient, which reduces the cost, and the cost is a lot cheaper because now you're not paying all these large institutions to do what you need done.
Okay. So help me understand what is the difference in a debit and a credit card?
Yeah, and there's a couple of different components of even debit cards. But debit card is basically where that the cash is in the bank, okay, is your money. And all you're doing is having a process where they are debiting your side of the ledger, or they're debiting money out of your account. They're taking money out of your particular account and transacting business according to what you want to buy, use, or whatever else. And of course, a credit card is where the bank is making you actually a loan, unsecured loan, where that when you swipe that card, that loan is activated. You already signed an agreement saying, I will pay this, and I will pay this interest rate, this nice interest rate to have this credit. So it's not your money, they're making you a loan with the credit card. The debit card is your money in your bank account. So when you look at your account, that money will automatically be taken out of there.
Is there a fee associated with that transaction?
Most banks directly do not charge a fee for that, but that's transactional fees that's paid to the merchant. So again, it's a debit card, it's your money, so there's no fee to take that money out of your account. Now, you do pay banking fees. You got monthly bank fees that you pay. Depends on and here's a sweet thing I get a lot of times. Well, I don't pay any bank fee at all. Well, yeah, you probably do. But a lot of banks have gone and got smart and said, well, if you leave so much money in your account, what they call compensating balance, if you got a minimum balance of this in here, then we won't charge you a fee, so you can use your money freely. Well, if I leave $2,000 in my account and can't go below that, that's $2,000 somebody else get to use and keep on their balance sheet to make money off, and so it's costing me because I can have that $2,000 working somewhere else for me. So
So fundamentally,
fundamentally,
a bank operates on the premise that you will deposit your money into the bank, and then the bank will invest that money in some other enterprise to make money. Well, the bank. Go ahead. The banks are not investment companies, so I won't say that's what they do. But okay.
but rather than using the word invest, let's say that they take that money and loan that money to make loans.
Okay.
To you and other entities to help spur the economic community.
Okay, so my interest rate that I get on my checking account, first of all, does a checking account have an interest rate? Does it earn interest?
Not a traditional checking account. Now, they have money savings, money market accounts and other accounts. It's a whole plethora of different accounts. They got names for now, Socrates. So if you have a money market account or a checking plus, they call them, then it may earn some interest rates that you can have access to. But a traditional checking account do not earn any interest rate whatsoever.
So most African Americans have a traditional checking account.
Right.
So they earn no interest.
No interest whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
I didn't think that the checking account did pay any dividends, but that's free money to the bank.
Transactional services, they call it.
Okay.
Because that's their job to move money around for you.
So tell me about your accountable card. Is it a debit card or a credit card?
It's a prepaid debit card. That's what I like about it. It's a prepaid debit card. So if the money's not there, then you don't get access. Neither do you get what banks have gotten smart with, what they used to not do with debit cards, regular debit cards, is to be able to say, okay, well, the money ain't there, we're going to go ahead and pay that anyway. But by the way, here's this nice fee over here, overdraft fee that you mentioned earlier, that we're going to charge you for. So on the prepaid debit cards, if the money's not there, then the money don't get sent, and you don't get charged overdraft fees for having money into an account that don't exist. So that's the one thing about it, and also allows you to manage your financial life. And see, that delayed gratification of use is what can help save a lot of people from getting further and further in debt. Because you do a overdraft, you get hit with $36 at the bank, and don't let it be a return check. You get hit with $36 on the other side for a $20 check.
For a $20 check.
Yeah, the check could be $10.
And
you get hit. You potentially get hit with $72. Depends on which one of those banks you went to and how they charge you. But definitely with $36 on an overdraft. And sometimes they don't pay it because they send it back. So you still don't have the goods and services, and you have to pay that fee.
So a $10 check could cost you
$36.
$36
right.
in fees.
And fees, right? Now you do that a couple of times a year. Yeah. Then you can see how that drives up. Right. So that's why and using debit cards and prepaid debit cards and accountable cards is a Visa-based product for one. So we are tied to Visa, and we also have FDIC insured bank account under the auspices of Axiom Bank.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, and that's one of the things we want to do. We not only wanted to be able to reach those individuals who can't get a regular bank account, but we wanted to make sure they can get into the banking system and also be secured. Now, you mentioned earlier that you had Cash App. Mm-hmm. Now, you send your money to the wrong person in Cash App, or somebody hit Cash App, your money's gone, not insured. Cash App fold up, your money's gone, not insured.
Okay.
With our product,
that person won't send it back.
No, you don't get it back, and Cash App have no means of getting it. So if the company of Cash App goes belly up and you lose your money, well, it's lost. With our product, we have FDIC insured bank accounts for customer money. So individuals has an accountable card. They do a payroll deduction. It goes into the account. That money's there. It's insured up to FDIC, to fraud and everything else, just like a regular bank. Because it's sitting in the FDIC bank. Wow. So we want to have that security. I mean, we believe that the unbanked and underbanked, the marginalized, support should have security for their money like anyone else. Okay. Wow. And have access to it 24/7, unlike most banks.
So FDIC stands for what?
Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The good old fake credit of the U.S. government.
And so the feds guarantee that your money is safe up to what level?
$250,000 per account.
$250,000 per account.
Per account.
I believe that'll cover most of us.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think it'll cover one account easily.
Yeah. So with the accountable card, it is insured by FDIC.
Yeah, the funds in the account is in a federal bank, Axiom Bank NA, which those accounts are insured. Each individual account is insured up to that limit.
Okay. So how do I get the accountable card? And I see on your backdrop, is that what the card looks like?
That's what it looks like.
And it says Visa down there. It's a Visa card.
It's a Visa card. Accountable.
Most of us are familiar with Visa.
I hope so. Yeah. The largest, one of the largest merchants in the world, actually, when it comes to transaction and cards and credit cards and everything. Most people's credit cards is a Visa. They still hold, I believe, like 6% of the industry. So they're pretty good size. They're pretty good size. And so it gives the company, because now it allows you to be able to use that product anywhere Visa is. Anywhere in the country and anywhere in the world where Visa is, you better use that product.
So I can use my accountable card anywhere in the world.
Anywhere Visa is.
Anywhere Visa is.
There's a lot of places.
And that works the same way of a traditional debit card or Not a credit card, but a traditional debit card.
Traditional debit card. Absolutely.
I'm accessing my money via my phone anywhere in the world.
Yes, and you can have your hard plastic card. So we want to make sure that we cover the market. A lot of people, like you said, a lot of folks love using phone technology. They can move it to their wallet, and they can tap and pay with it, and then go on about it. But like you said, a lot of us our age, we still like that plastic.
Yeah, well, I see people tapping and paying.
Yes,
I've never done that.
Yeah, you should. High security piece.
And so, how do you do that?
It prevents. Well, if your merchant has what they call an Apple Pay system or a tap and pay system, which is most of them now, I think, has been pushed to that as the new terminals comes out. So all you do is, when the amount comes up, all you do is take your card, there's a chip in it, and tap it, and it moves the money from one to
I don't see them taking the card out of their wallet. They just tap with the phone.
They can tap with the phone. You can have it just with the phone, or you can have it with the card itself. You can do it with the card itself. The security fact is that information is not being transferred within the means of that terminals, just in case that clerk or somebody else have got that terminal rigged where they got the little system behind it and steals your information.
So it's more secure.
It's more secure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very convenient. It's a lot faster. And I don't know if you tried to swipe cards and they say, that didn't work that time, swipe it again. I always get nervous about that.
The swiping is really troublesome.
Yeah. I get nervous about that. It didn't go in that time, swipe it again. Say, wait a minute, take my money twice.
Yeah.
So when you tap it, it's quick, smooth, easy.
So some cards have a chip on them.
Right.
And they don't have to be swiped, I guess. You insert.
You have to be inserted or swiped. Ours have all of it. All three. It has a tap and pay, it has a chip where you can insert it, and it has a strip so you can swipe it. In addition to that, we have it in the mobile wallet, so you can put it on your phone, and through Apple Pay and Google Pay, do the same thing. So we want to make sure that all the necessary components and convenience of transacting business, the unbanked had as well as the very well banked.
Okay. So how do I get this accountable card and all of my friends out there?
Your friends.
How do we get the accountable card?
Go to your Apple Store or Google, download accountable card, and app's gonna pop up on your phone. In 5 minutes of putting your information in, you will have a bank account. That's the app. In 5 minutes. Go to your phone.
Okay.
And if you want to, you can scan our QR code on our paraphernalia, or go to our accountablecard.com online and scan the QR code. But go to your phone, just type in accountable card in the App Store if you got an iOS or Google.
Right.
Type in accountable card, and that app come up. Tap the app. Go in and fill out your information and register your card. You get an account immediately, and you get a card put in the mail to you.
Wow.
Just that easy. And you'll be able to go to you can load it from your bank account, or you'll be able to go to over 100,000 locations in the country, the Walmarts, the Walgreens, the CVS's, and hand your card, and you can load your card with cash.
Wow, I just downloaded the card.
See?
I have the accountable card on my phone.
That easy.
Wow.
And everybody has phone.
Wow.
And you can do it, and you can bank 24/7. Truly bank 24/7.
So now I need to preload it. I need to link it to my checking account.
Yes. You can link it to your checking account. You can do an ACH from, let's say, your payroll. You can go into, get the information, give it to your payroll clerk, and say, hey, I want 25%, 50% of my check go into my bank account here. Or you can go to any 100,000.
No, slow down a minute. So I can go to my payroll clerk.
Yes.
And instruct them to do what now?
You can instruct them to say, hey, I want 20%, 50% of my check going to my checking account. Give them information, which is your bank account and routing numbers. They're put in the system. So now when you get paid, they'll put that amount in that, and then whatever you decide to put the rest, or you can put your whole check on there, it'll go to your account automatically.
Wow.
And you typically get it 2 days ahead of time, depending on your employer. Because they send the money in typically 2 days ahead of time. You have access to it.
So are businesses able to pay employees?
100%. And that's the market we really have to, because there's a lot of people still write paper checks, and businesses know it's expensive to still be writing paper checks.
Yeah.
So those businesses who are writing paper checks and their employees saying, well, I can't get a bank account anywhere, I got to have a check, then we can give them one.
Wow. And so we can pay our employees with the card.
Yes,
and
sir.
it gives that employee a new form of ID.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Which many of them don't have.
There you go.
Driver's license or a credit card.
There you go.
And those things are asked for. So it serves as another form of ID.
Number form ID, and they bank anywhere. They can go to any ATM and get cash if they need cash. Walmart, and if they happen to be out there and they're getting paid in cash, then they can take their account. They can go to Walmart and give them a card. I go to CVS or one of the drugstores and give them a card and say, hey, look, I want to put $200,000, $300,000 under my card. And they'll be into their account within 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes.
So the underbank and the underbank
can be fully banked with us.
Can be fully banked with the accountable card.
Absolutely, 100%.
Within 10 minutes.
Within 10 minutes. Download it on your phone.
That's absolutely amazing. I'm going to instruct my payroll clerk to utilize this system to pay our employees.
Right.
I think it would be a great benefit to them.
It'd be a great benefit to them because it lower the cost of payroll.
Right.
They can get it done. It's easy and swift and smooth, and I know the accountant's going to like it.
Right.
Because it's trackable and it's easy.
Right. Does it help with all of the payroll deduction, all the requirements and everything that they have to go through?
Yeah, that's done on the accountant's end. Once they've done all that, boom, it's there. And the good thing about the employees, they can always pull down their reports and their data, print their reports from their phone or print their reports from the web, and get all the information they need.
So, we've talked, and we had a meeting at New Horizons Church not long ago.
Yes.
We had some 114 pastors there. And you asked for the pastors to ask their congregations to put $100 on the accountable card.
Right.
And you went on to say that it was some revenue sharing opportunities.
Absolutely.
Back to them. Can you explain?
Exactly. That's just, we started this piece and said, how do we close this wealth gap? And next sector, we definitely want to talk about community investment guarantee pool. How do you create a community investment guarantee pool? By pulling the community money together and putting money back into that particular community. So what we want to do with this banking system, accountable card is a neo-bank. So what we want to do with this banking piece is to share revenue streams back to the community. So, what the bishop was talking about, for instance, all these churches, 126 churches, let's just say they got an average 400-500 members, or 200-300 members, and so numbers makes a difference on a monthly basis. So what we want to get to is we want to get them to say, look, let's get 10,000 people on this thing under a coded system that's done through there. And if they just, as I love your word, repurpose your money, we ain't actually doing nothing different. We ain't actually spending extra. Repurpose your money and say, okay, I'm going to spend $100, $200 a month on an accountable card every month. Okay? Every month they do that, we're going to share in the revenue that's derived from that. A lot of the merchant fees paid by the merchants, and there's a monthly banking fee. So instead of keeping the monthly banking fees, we're going to share a portion of that fee back to that group.
Wow.
Well,
I don't hear anyone else saying anything like that.
Definitely no other bank, because they're not in the community, and they're not fintechs. So rather than just like we often find out doing and say, well,
what do you mean when you say they're not in the community? I thought they were in the community.
Well, look, we have I've noticed over the last several years that what have grown is a lot of smaller community banks, which tells me, and statistically tells me, that the larger banks have basically moved out of the community. The CRA, Community Reinvestment Act, has been out there for a long while, but you don't hear about it anymore, do you?
No, I don't.
Because they believe and they felt that the way of the economy is that they have grown beyond CRA. See, CRA never had any real teeth. They really can't do anything unless banks was mergers and growing. Well, banks have grown and bought out other banks. Most banks now locally are the large banks are owned by major corporations from elsewhere. I mean, regional banks, they're big regional banks now. So a lot of them are just not there in the community. They're there to business loan to larger companies and larger shares, and when in the real roots of the community, we have more bank deserts than we've ever had.
Wow.
And since COVID, we've had more bank closures. And I think the bishop spoke to us last time we was together. We have more bank branch closures than we've ever seen.
Wow.
In the community.
And I noticed that we have a lot of closures in our community.
Yeah.
I was looking
and brick and mortar is expensive, and we don't have that to worry about. We're digital.
The accountable card.
Our accountable card is digital. We don't have brick and mortar to worry about. We don't have that cost.
So JR is asking us in the community and businesses and parishioners and just everyday citizens to download the account, go to the App Store, download the, and let's spend $100 a month on the accountable card. And let's just see if we can invest in someone, in some concept that will reinvest in our community.
Right.
That's pretty novel idea.
Repurpose our money.
I see it being done in most communities.
In most communities. It have been done for many years. That's why, like I say, you see these small community banks growing back, because that's what they're doing. They are pooling their monies together. Communities' investment pools are pooling their money together to build their community.
Right.
And this would be a good starting point for the black and brown community to do the same.
So tell me about football season and tickets and things of that nature. I see so much money in our community. Go to game day and that nature. Is it anything there that the accountable card can help?
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, wow.
We want to look. We would love to be able to help, especially football stadiums and the HBCU to go to a cashless stadium component.
Wow. Because
it costs so much to have cash, and you lose so much cash, and so you lose your concession. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know how much you actually made, money you made. But just imagine being able to capture that at a football day.
I remember Deion Sanders said the money was missing. He said there were 60,000 people in the stadium. They had money for 40,000.
Absolutely, dealing with cash.
Dealing with cash.
Moving cash out of society, going to a cashless society, and being able to capture that money and put it back into the school and the stadium and scholarships. I mean, I would love to run an accountable program where one of the HBCUs just decide for, say, look, 2 years, alumni. Let's do what this guy is talking about. Let's see how much we can raise in scholarship. I bet you we can raise several $1 million in scholarship funds.
Wow, that's something that ought to be looked at very quickly and carefully.
So when you start talking about really how can you recreate Black Wall Street, well, here it is with no boundaries.
Mm. And it's simple.
It's simple.
And Dr. Elaine Hayes Anthony, a good friend of mine, the interim president at Jackson State University.
I love her. She's a great person. We need to go see her.
We need to go see her.
We need to go see her.
We really need to go see her. Absolutely. Because I can see it. Yes. In my small business community, I can see how this could really help.
Absolutely.
And just repurposing our dollars. If you're already using a debit card, use the accountable card.
Use the accountable card. We're not asking you to replace your bank or your debit card. Just repurpose. I think we're way out of time, and I hear the program manager back there saying, "Look, y'all better wrap this up. I'm just gonna cut y'all off. She might have already. We don't know. But look, we've had such a great time and such great talk. Join us on our next one, Small Business Capital Fund Economic Forum, talking about financial inclusion and how do we repurpose our own dollars to develop our community. This is not a white or black thing. This is not a race thing. This is about building the community, because everybody wins when the community grows. And this is what we want to do. Once you can repurpose those dollars, there's less dollars you got to worry about the federal government raising taxes, saying they got to pay charitable contributions here and there and welfare here and there. We can begin to curtail and reduce that ourselves. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Again, This is Accountable Card sponsoring the SBCF Economic Inclusion Forum. Thank you for being with us.